Yes, good morning, students, and welcome to the class of SAP. Good morning, Nagraj sir, and a warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you very much, madam. A very good morning.
Yes, sir. You may please start the session, sir.
Sure, madam. Yeah. So we have 45 attendees and it's just 2 minutes past 11. So I think we'll wait for maybe say 3, 4 minutes or even 5 more minutes. And do I see any questions already? Let me just check. And in the meantime, students, you're most welcome to ask me questions. Absolutely no problem. Good morning. Good morning. So I would have muted myself, but you're most welcome to ask me any questions from whatever has happened till yesterday. All right, we'll allow others to join and we will start at the earliest. Hmm, do I see any questions? Let me just check. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, just a couple of more minutes and we will start. I see 57. That's quite good. Okay, we will start off in another 2 to 3 minutes. All right. Okay, students, it's 10 minutes past our scheduled start. All right, so we will take up. We'll first, as usual, start with the recap. And so yesterday, when we were discussing about the accounts receivable side, so we finished understanding the most critical concepts as far as the accounts payable is concerned. But don't worry, there are, or I feel there could be a few more concepts as far as AP and AR is concerned. We will definitely take it up as and when the slides ask for it. Okay. Today, once when I finish with this AR, that is taking you into the dunning process. Of course, yesterday we saw the letters getting generated. So we understood what is the process of dunning. What is dunning? Nothing but an automated process of sending reminders to the customers who are due for payment. So this helps us, and we also saw some aging reports. We saw the aging reports. So where we classify our debtors into how old they are. Okay? We classified them into something called as buckets. So when we identify which particular receivable is how old. Okay, so this is exactly how we went through the AR process. So, and we had a look at it only from the finance perspective, and that itself took so much of time for us to understand. Okay, so first we had an export customer account group. We created a customer 1646, if you remember, correct? So 1646 in the sense it was 500 or 30001646, right? So measures are limited. So we understood the process of the how we can raise the invoice, the sales invoice, and what is the general ledger account used for the revenue purpose. Yeah. So, and as and when we saw the usual open items, we saw how they are cleared. Yeah. And we also saw the concept of partial receipts. Yeah. In the AP side, we had seen the partial payments. Here we saw the partial receipts. Okay. And in the AP, we saw the special GL transactions, that is the advances which we made. The reverse process is your advances received. So here again, we have a general ledger account, a of the nature reconciliation account. So if you remember, we had another alternate reconciliation account, 1,58,000 for the special general or the advances transactions. Here again, on the similar basis, we in the sense the finance consultant creates an alternative general ledger account so that the transactions or the special general ledger transactions are acceptable by the SAP system. Clear, students? Okay, now we went into, and at any point in time, please ask me questions. Okay, now we saw the process of dunning, and we saw the practical side, how it is actually applied. Now we will get into the configuration side. Actually, it is not required, but I will tell you from where the system is understanding. Okay, what exactly, what is a reminder, how it should be sent, what is the English. So normally yesterday, the letters what you saw, normally it is not the letters which we send. We change the English according to the business requirements, and we take the help of the ABAP people to configure these letters at different levels. The first level, second level dunning, third level dunning. And basically, now if you talk about the dunning process, SAP allows you a maximum of 9 levels. Nine levels of done maximum. But do you think we ever use 9 levels of done practically? Absolutely no. Yesterday I said, if at all you're talking about the European setup and the US setup, the maximum level of dunning which we have worked on is 3. Practically it is only 3, because as you saw the seriousness of the reminders. The first was a very a mild kind of a reminder saying that this is due from your end. Please pay it as soon as possible. Now the next thing is, it gets a little serious where the letter says we are going to calculate interest on your receivables and we are going to penalize you. And the third letter, which is even more serious, says that since you have not responded to any of our previous reminders, we have no other go but to apply for a legal procedure, but to apply for a court order. Students, this typically happens in the European and also in the US. Once the third level of dunning is raised, it is over. The matter straight away goes to the court. And there is no discussion amongst the companies. Okay, so this is the seriousness of even the third level of dunning. Clear? Now, where do you see this done? And we also saw how does the poor SAP system pick up the dunning. So if you remember, we had attached a dunning procedure where in the correspondence tab of the customer master data, in the company code level of information, I'll explain. So yesterday, how did we trigger the dunning procedure? First and the foremost, just like we attach the house buying, the payment methods to our vendor for us to easily go through the process of your house banks and your automatic payment program. Similarly, for us to smoothen the process of dunning, we need to assign or we need to connect the customer master record and your dunning procedure. Of course, we actually as consultants, we do create a dunning procedure on our own, but here that process is not required. All I'm letting you know is where actually did we assign the dunning procedure. So we are going to the display mode of the 1646. So go to the company code tab. Here we have the correspondence tab. Now you see that we have assigned a dunning procedure 0001. Right? And this was already available for us. There was no requirement for us to create. But normally The consultant, the finance consultant, creates the dunning procedure based on the requirements of the business. So he understands what should be the requirement of the business and accordingly configure the procedure based on the requirement. Now, you would be interested to see the contents of this 0001. So for that, we will have to get into the consultant's shoes. So we need to think as a consultant, which could be a different thing for you. Absolutely not a problem. I'm not going deeper and deeper into the consultant's role because it is not at all required. But anyway, just to get more interested in the subject, Dunning, basic or Dunning procedure, define Dunning procedure. Now you see that 000 getting lodged as the standard creation, just like your other standard settings, your company code, your international chart of accounts, your vendor account group KRED, your customer account group KUNA, right? So if you double click, it takes you into the construction of the very procedure itself. Now, I will just briefly take you into this process. Okay. So this is the nomenclature for this particular 0001. This is how we have named 4-level Dunning notice. Dunning interval in days, 14 days. What do we mean by this? The gap or the time gap between two Dunning reminders. That is, if I send the first reminder today, only and only after the expiry of the 14 days, the system would take up the second level of Dunning. Till then, it will not. Clear? Now, number of Dunning levels. Can you see? Here the maximum allowed is 9. Here 4 is also practically will not hold good. It is only 3. But since it is a standard system, I'm not going to disturb. Total due item from the Dunning level. So what are you actually telling the system? I'll take the help of SAP itself. I am clicking on F1. So total due items for Dunning means you are telling the system that the customer can accumulate these number of invoices. How many number of invoices? We can say 5, 10, 2, whatever. So the system will wait at least for the accumulation of the number what you are providing here. Dunning level for which all the due items in an account are totaled. Yeah. So you are actually telling the system as to how many open items you can or the customer can accumulate. If I say 5, until and unless the customer accumulates 5 invoices which are due for payment, the system will not done, whatever may be the amount. Even if it is 50 lakhs, 60 lakhs, the system will not consider it for dunning. And when do you give this? You are trying to understand the business scenario. Clear? Now, minimum days in arrears for the entire account for the whole of the customer. What should be the minimum expiry in terms of days? For how long should the customer have this payables due even after the even after the expiry of the due date. Suppose I was supposed to have been paid, I was supposed to get the payment by the 12th or the 13th of November. So today it's already the 19th. Clear? So will the system pick up the invoice for dunning? Because I have said 6. So 12th or the 13th was overdue. So will the system, if I carry out the process of dunning today, will it pick it up? According to this number, it should. 6 days. So it has the whole invoice has got expired or it was due for payment 6 or 7 days ago. And now it can be done. Line item grace periods. Over and above my generosity, that is after the expiry of 6 days also, I give an additional 2 days grace for each of the invoice. Okay. So interest indicator, this is, we said we are going to calculate interest, correct? There was one line in the first letter on the second dunning level which said, unfortunately, since you have not made the payment, we might have to penalize you in the form of interest. And this particular topic, which talks about the interest, is called as an interest indicator, interest calculation. The process is called as interest calculation, but I don't think there is a subject on that for this particular course. Yes, but just it's enough for you to know that there is something called as interest calculation. Just like you had the discount term, you also have interest calculation. You reward the early payment and you also penalize the late payment. Clear? Now, this is one interesting thing. I just wanted to add one small information. Public holiday calendar. So normally this is the calendar is generated by the human resources department. Okay. So once when they generate, all right. So we apply that holiday calendar. Why do we apply? To exclude the holidays and the weekends, whatever. To exclude the non-working days to be included in the payment. So these days are not considered. So to ensure that the non-working days are not considered as due, this we apply public holiday calendar. Okay. Here again you can see 99, which is a standard holiday calendar. Okay. You can see that 99 somewhere. See 99 international. Yeah, but this is not our work. All right. Now, no problem. Dunning levels. So what is this 2 taken up from? The line item grace periods. So from then 6 plus 2, you saw that 2 line item grace periods. Correct. So it is that 2 which is considered here from where it is going to done. So 2 plus 14 is 16. 16 plus 14 is 30. 30 plus 14 is 44. Since I have said 4 levels of dunning, it is giving me this. If at all I had said 9 levels of dunning, if I went to the dunning levels, you could see. Clear, students? And this 2 is picked up from here, this place. So it is just for you to understand the more than you doing it on the system, it is more for you to understand what are the features available. Normally, we do not see this practically in the SAP system at all. 3 is the maximum. This is all what we see. Practically, this is all what we see. Only 3 levels, nothing more than that. Anyway, I'll revert to the standards even before. I will not save it. That is a different. So, did you understand? Calculate interest. So, for the first 2 levels of Dunning, I'm not going to penalize the customer. But for the third level, according to the second, I may also include the fourth level for me to penalize my customer by the way of calculating interest on the receivables. Always done. You see the checkbox. All right. Now, what does this always done mean? Now, on the second day, I send out a reminder. On the first, I send out the first reminder. Now, after the expiry of 14 days, 14 plus 2 in this case, what is that 14 plus 2? Line item, the grace period. Yeah. So it picks up the Dunning after the 16th day, the second level. So in case the system asks you, since there, if at all there is an accumulation of invoices between this period, between the first reminder and the second reminder, do you want to still done? If I put a check mark here, it says yes, it should. Always done. Even if there is no change, even if there is no addition of invoices, even if fresh invoices are not being accumulated, right? I will still allow the system to done. This is the meaning of this checkbox. Do you want to print all the items? Yes, I will print all the items. Payment deadline. As you can see, you see a number 10 as far as the third level of Dunning is concerned. Let me add 5. So what is this 10 and 5 on the third and the fourth level? That means if today is the due date, I have generated the third level of Dunning today. So I am asking, or I am setting a deadline of 10 days after the third Dunning letter is issued. I am asking the customer to make a payment within 10 days. That is exactly what is your payment deadline. I'm just putting things as simple as possible. You can read the explanation F1. Probably this could seem a little complex. All right, but this is exactly what we have done it practically. Clear? So understanding things practically is much more easier and more. You can approach the subject a little different. And the process of learning is simplified. Now, the same thing holds good for the 5 days. So once I generate the last level of Dunning, within 5 days, I would expect the payment. Minimum amounts, charges. Do I incur charges? What are the charges? So I might incur printing, postage, okay? Some charges which are a part of your Dunning process. You send out a reminder, you need to print that letter, you need to post that letter. Yeah. So you might incur some expenses which you want to load it on your customer. So this is your charges. So for the first level, I might incur charges of say 50 rupees, postage and my time and whatever, all the clerical job. And the next level, for the second level, I may incur 100 rupees. So like that, I can. It is my experience. Okay. Now, minimum amounts. What is this minimum amount? So I said, whenever for the first level of dunning, I might set a minimum due. Let's say for the first level, the system should not done unless and until the customer accumulates 5 lakh rupees. An outstanding of 5 lakh rupees is the basic minimum requirement for the system to done for the first level. Clear, students? So till then, how many ever number of invoices he accumulates till the amount processed 10 lakhs or even 5, whatever is the basic amount I set, depending on my business, the system would not done. The system would not pick any of the invoices below that value. It will not pick. Clear, students? So this is the concept of your dunning. And from where are the letters coming up from? They are coming up from the dunning texts. See, these are the forms. They are called as the forms or the standards for which you can see first level of dunning, second level of dunning, third level of dunning, fourth level of dunning. Clear? So this is the source of your letters. This is from where the letters, the English what you saw, they are getting generated from. Clear, students? So this is as briefly as I can talk about the dunning process. So I don't want to elaborate much on this because it may lead to a lot more confusions rather than understanding the process. So like this, you can see n number of, I think I have created GM01 also. Let me just check. No, I have not. Okay, not a problem. As long as I am able to successfully tell you what the process is all about, I'm more than happy. Yeah. And as I've already gone, how would I create as a consultant? I would go to the new procedure and give all the business information and save. Clear, students? And for the forms, for the text, I would put in those forms which is generated by our technical team. For the first level, this should be the form. For the second level, this should be the form. For the third level, this should be the form. So at the appropriate places, I would fill up the forms and they are not going to be standards. There I am going to totally do not have anything as standards. It is created by my technical team. Dear students, any questions for me on the dunning or any other topic? So with this, let us give a break for our practical side of SAP. As long as you have any questions, I will keep quiet for 2 minutes, allowing you to ask me questions. In the meantime, I'll open the slides so that we will start discussing. So we look at probably say the GRIR clearing or the reconciliation. Let us read what it is. Let me just check if you have any questions. Students, shall I assume that you have no questions? Okay, always done feature. Fine. Now let me assume today I am generating on the 19th, or maybe say for calculation purposes, 20th of November. I am generating the first, I'm sending out the first reminder. Yeah. And as per the settings, the next dunning reminder can be sent only after the expiry of 14 days. Let me say the next level I done, maybe say on the 18th of December. So here I'm considering the 2 days grace period also. Okay. So maybe say on the 15th or the 16th of December, I would be dunning for the next level. Perfect. Now always done. So between today and the next dunning reminder, if at all there is no additional transactions, that means to say I have not sold or there has been no transactions with that customer, do you still want to done? Do you still want to send the reminder with the same outstanding? Only one invoice was pending on the 20th of November. Only one invoice will be pending on the 16th or the 17th of December. That is the second level of done. So it is up to you to decide whether you have to send a reminder in that case, where there is no accumulation of your invoices. If there is no difference between the outstanding for the first run and the second run of dunning, do you still want to carry out the process? You are asking the system to do it or not to do it by saying always done. I hope I was clear. Students, did you understand the question asked by your friend? And did you understand the answer? If anybody has any other questions, please let me know. Did you understand the answer? One person has asked me, can you please repeat the always done feature? Perfect, very good. Thank you for responding. And dear students, any other student having any issue, even the same issue, I am ready to explain again. In case you have not understood the question and the answer also, I'm more than happy to repeat both the question and the answers. I'll give you 1 minute. It could be any topic, students, not only this. Did you find the process of dunning interesting? And this was the area where we learned a lot of things, students. Please mark my words. We learned a lot of things. Can you imagine from whom? From an end user who raised a question on the process of dunning. It was, we were doing a telecom project for a huge telecom project for a Netherlands client. Okay, then so we had a issue raised by one of the users, and he was wonderful, and we had to actually rethink our process of what we had earlier thought of done. See, this particular question, what he asked, was never relating to the business. It didn't affect his business. But to learn, he raised that issue, and he also opened so many thoughts for discussion. It was such a wonderful, wonderful learning. So like that, you will never know what would be the source of your learning. And the end users also will throw a lots and lots of information on the practical side of the issue. And that is where you learn the product. So probably we were so new to that process, right? So we were actually stunned at the way he was looking at the system. And he was trying to understand the whole of the process. Look at the interest. And look at the involvement. He was, after all, an end user. And what he was pointing out was something phenomenal. Because he was an expert in his own work. And student, let me also add one more line. Here, typically what happens if somebody asks you a question, like, okay, hey, but do you know this? If you say no, you are written off. You would be considered as, oh, he doesn't know anything, like that. But when you say no, you can be very assured that the outsiders, the international people, they would accept and respect your no. Because the subject is such. As I said, I cannot say that I know the entire thing on essay. No. As long as you have the attitude to learn, this subject would not be suitable. You should always have the hunger to learn. So if we had the ego that, oh, he's after all an end user, what does he know? No, that was not the way we approached the subject. In fact, we were 6 consultants, finance consultants. 2 of them working for the APAC process, 2 of them were, no, I think 4 of us were working for the European shift, and 2 of them were working for the US. Yeah. So we learned and we tried to understand the whole of the team. How does it matter? So do you send out a reminder only for one invoice if there are any additional invoices? You got my point?
Sir, I have posted the question in the publish section.
Okay. Did you
Only 2
understand?
questions till now.
Yeah. I got it. So how does it matter? So do you want to send out a reminder only for the invoice, which you have already sent out a reminder? Would your customer like it? What if you're dealing with a very, very sensitive customer? He wouldn't want timely reminders for the same thing. So in that case, does this make a difference? You answer this question. Obviously, it does make a difference, right? You got my point? person who has asked me, how does it matter if there are any extra invoices or not? There are sensitive issues. You simply cannot send reminders left, right, and center. Many of the, or rather, at least some of the customers may not like it. So if you are sending out the reminders for the same thing, would it be appreciated? Now you answer and think about it from the live business scenario. All right. Clear? So that's why thinking from the business perspective is very, very important. And we also know you can also block the procedure from not happening. You can also block. Did I show you where you can block? So you can block, dunning block. You can block. This is at the master level. Okay. We saw how we can change at the line item level for a payment. When we change the payment terms from 002 to due immediately yesterday. Recollect that. Same thing is available for dunning also. Were you convinced with the answer? Very good. So this does have a huge impact, right? Now we were coming to, I think most of the topics are dealt with as far as the AP and the AR process is concerned from the finance perspective. Okay. Now the GRIR reconciliation, the goods receipt and the invoice receipt reconciliation account. This also is a typical integration process where the PO is compared to the invoice. In the sense, if the PO has 100 kgs of material, the invoice is raised for, is the PO complete? Is the invoice being raised for 100 kgs or only 60 kgs? So what is the difference? What is the reconciliation? And if at all, the PO is for 100 kgs, he has also supplied 100 kgs, but he has not sent the invoice. This is your GRIR reconciliation. Clear? Legal requirements, technical. Students, please go through this. I have already told you what exactly it is. So I was just going through these slides only from the identification of some new terms are concerned. Yeah. So how do we understand the period end closing? So normally the period end closing from the finance side, what do we do? First and the foremost, carry out the depreciation, close the period, yeah, and open the new period. And these are all your typical happenings from involving the other modules also. See, balance confirmation, new fiscal year. So I just spoke to you about one period to another period. He's talking about the new fiscal year change itself from 2025-26 to 2026-27. So you close the old year. As a consultant, once you carry out all your year-end closing processes, what typically you do in your manual accounting? Okay. So all these activities, two things what you are seeing here, the balance carry forward and your foreign currency evaluation. So we already are aware of the special periods. And this is used only and only during the final closure normally. This is also used when we make use of the quarterly closure. Clear? You can use this typically even during the you are closing the books of accounts finally. And when I was working for a project in the public sector, typically we had the habit of closing the books of accounts every quarter, but then we never worked on SAP. Typically, these are the scenarios. And I also happen to work on an implementation for a public sector. So new experience, excellent experience, new learning. Now, what does this balance carry forward? How does SAP allow you to do it? One of the basic concepts, let me get back to my Excel sheet. Now, normally, how do you close your books of accounts for the year? How do you get the opening balance for the balance sheet for the new year? You should have closed the books of accounts for the previous year, meaning whatever balance you had as a debit or a credit in your profit and loss account gets carried to your next balance sheet or the new balance sheet as a profit or a loss. Do you agree with me? So typically you have all the balances of your profit and loss accounts being carried forward through a process of there is a general ledger account which actually does this particular carry forward activity. Clear? I will tell you what it is. Clear? It is called as the retained earnings account. So this retained earnings account carries forward the balances of the profit and loss accounts. You recall what is a profit and loss account? Okay, we have hardly 2-3 minutes. I will open the system. So I will use a transaction code. Now you have so this is a typical expense account of the nature P&L. Can you see this P&L account type? Some X. So, and not all the accounts. See, this is a bank account. It is a balance sheet account. Does it have an X? It doesn't. So whatever P&L category general ledger accounts are in your operating chart of accounts, their balances, whether it's a plus or a minus, is carried forward through the concept of retained earnings account, which is this. Your X or any other indicator, I will tell you once we come back from the break. Any questions, students? I wait for 1 more minute and then we will take a break. Kunal, you're there? We'll break for 10 minutes.
Sure, sir. We will rejoin by 12 or 10.
Okay, fine. Okay,
Thank you, sir.
students, will take a short break. We'll meet by 12:10. Okay, students, we'll start. I hope all of you are back. Any questions? Please let me know. One more minute and then we will move on to our topic of discussion. Okay, students, since I'm not seeing any questions, I'm assuming things are going okay. Okay. All right. So we were trying to discuss the concept of the balance carry forward. How exactly this balance is carried forward? What balances? The balances of your profit and loss account, whether it's a plus or a minus, indicating profit or a loss, obviously should be carried forward to the new balance sheet. Yeah, and this is what exactly is your balance carry forward, and the process it is done through a concept of a general ledger account, which is defined as the retained earnings account. Typical setup by the finance consultant. All right. So I will show you where exactly he does this. I think I may have to re-log in again. Not a problem. No questions. So by the time, okay. So from the consultant's perspective, I'll again go back to this and focus on this, or maybe I'll open a P&L account, an expense account, to tell you what exactly this X means. So I'll open another consultant's screen. Don't have to probably remember where exactly you it, but understand this concept. So you have this general ledger accounting. We have finished document types, tolerance groups, posting keys. All right. Okay, okay. You see something called as a retained earnings account here. Just read the documentation. As we are in the consultant screen, the detailed documentation is very much available. by specifying a P&L account statement account type in the chart of accounts area. Yeah. Now, at the end of the year, what exactly is a balance carry forward? The system carries forward the balance of the P&L account to the retained earnings account. So if there are 100, 200 profit and loss accounts as required by the business, the balance of each one of the general ledger account is carried forward through the retained earnings account. Okay. And this is how we just saw how the P&L account gets connected to the retained earnings account. See? Now, what exactly it is? Let us get into a little deeper into this. How does the consultant set this connection, or how does the consultant create this retained earnings account? Define retained earnings account. So as you can see, system immediately asks me which chart of accounts you are referring to. Enter. Can you see? 9 lakhs. So this is the standard general ledger account, which acts as the carrier general ledger account, which is the standard. This is your retained earnings account. Why X? Why not A, B, C, D? It's up to SAP. SAP standard is it has defined something called as an X, by which we identify that this is the retained earnings account. Clear, students? So if you want to see the property of this general ledger account, and this is the X what you saw there. Yeah. It is up to you whether you want in your project as X or A or B or C. It is the way you decide. See? So why I brought you into this specific screen is this 9 lakh, which is referred to as the retained earnings account. That also is a nothing but a general ledger account created by the consultant in the operational chart of accounts. Clear, students? It is nothing special. It is just a general ledger account. And as far as this particular general ledger account is concerned, the 9 lakh, it is a standard. I can have 99999, whatever. Whatever as a consultant, whatever logic I can think of, I can construct the general ledger account and create it as a retained earnings account. Which, what is its functionality? The functionality is of the functionality of the retained earnings account is to carry forward the balances of the profit and loss account to the next year balance sheet or the new balance sheet. Any questions out here, students? So this is one of the typical year-end closing acts. Yeah. So all these the closing activities, they are actually accumulated in a concept called as your closure cockpit, financial closure cockpit, FCC. Okay, let the topic come up. I'll give you more information. Okay, unfortunately, I may not be in a position to show you the whole process of the closure cockpit, because you know that most of the data is not available for. Okay. Clear, students? Is it okay? Now, so we just understood what is the concept of the balance carry forward. Now, the other concept, foreign currency valuation. Now, what is this foreign currency valuation? Now, based on the business requirement, that is, how exactly my transactions are happening by using the foreign currency. Am I in profit or am I making loss because of this foreign currency transactions? This is identified through a process called as a foreign currency valuation process. And this in SAP is carried out FAGL FCD. This is your foreign currency evaluation program. Now, what happens in this? See, you can see you have the individual subledgers, your customers and vendors. Company code. I just show you the screen because I don't have the requisite settings. See, you have some valuation area. So here, what I'm trying to tell you is whether you carry out your transactions with your customer or your vendor through a foreign currency. Clear? You can have a open a subledger, you can evaluate vendors and also evaluate customers. You can also go to the general ledger accounts. Okay. So like this, whatever foreign currency valuation we do, you give the requisite input and you execute. When do you want to actually evaluate your profit or loss by the foreign currency valuation? It is this date. So maybe I would next analysis, I would want to make it on the 30th of November 2025. So when I execute this program, FAGL FCB, this is a program and also the transaction. So when I evaluate or when I execute this program, this throws up the information if I am actually making a profit or a loss on my foreign transactions. So this, and earlier we already saw how you make use of the foreign currency during your transactions. We have already seen that, correct? Did we see that? In our journal voucher, we changed the INR to USD and it took up some rate also at the rate of 82 rupees or 84 rupees. I entered $100. It took up 8200. 82 rupees is your value. So we saw all that. Now the question is, what is the frequency of executing this? It all depends on the frequency of the transactions. If I'm transacting in foreign currency, maybe say once in 3 months, once in 6 months, probably I may not pay attention to this program because I'm capable enough of absorbing the loss, if at all there is. Okay, but now, in case I frequently transact in the foreign currency, so at that point in time, I would want to have a regular analysis as to where exactly my business is doing, what exactly my business is achieving through this foreign currency valuation. Am I incurring a loss or am making profit through the foreign currency transactions? So what should be my decision? So it is all taken care of by this particular program. And the frequency of executing this program is directly proportional to the frequency of the for. Clear, students? Here again, why I am not doing this is for the want of data. Clear? What else? What else? I'll straight away go to this. So some of the things which I wanted to discuss as far as this slide is concerned. See, we already discussed the foreign currency valuation. So what is the GRIR? I orally explained as to why this reconciliation should be happening. The amounts between the PO and the invoice, they don't match. Missing invoices or the GR. I would have received goods, but there would be no goods receipt information on that. I would have received goods, but they may or may not be an invoice matching to that supply. Yeah. So there could be a difference in the rate. So like this, there are so many scenarios where we actually talk about the GRIR reconciliation or netting off. Clear, students? There could be a price difference. The PO is agreed at 100 rupees, but due to some circumstantial pressure, he has supplied the goods for me at 110 rupees. So there is a difference in the GR and the IR. So where does this reconciliation factor get into? How is this accounted? How is this factored? All this information, they are done. So all these are typical English, dear students. So please go through them. All right, when you have time. Okay. This could also be one of the scenarios. Invoice would have already got raised, but goods wouldn't have got supplied. The reverse cases, the goods are delivered, but we have no invoice. So like that, it is analyzed. Old fiscal year, new fiscal year. I theoretically explained all this during the period closure. So we close the old year and open the new financial year. So we have already seen this balance confirmation, supplier balance confirmation, customer balance confirmations. F.17. Foreign currency valuation also we just saw. So you just go through this slide. Okay, students, all are self-explanatory. Yeah. When does the vendor show us a debit balance? Could be a very simple question at your level, but this is exactly what this means. So just like unreceived debtors, they are also a part of your analysis, where the vendor, they are showing the unfavorable balance. The customers showing the credit balance and the vendor showing the debit balance. They are unfavorable. Yeah. All are self-explanatory. So we have reached the lesson summary. So next is what I think accounts payable. So there is a video. Just hold on. See, there is an interactive video. Okay, go through this. Accounts receivable also we have seen. Maintain customer master records, transactions, integration. Integration is for the last week. So what is a closure? The balance confirmations. Here, the dunning. They're all the closing processes. And basically, when you're talking about your AR and AP, it is the most important reports are your balance confirmations and your foreign currency evaluation. Clear? So all these we have already done practically. So please go through these functions of recording financial transactions. All are self-explanatory. So I don't think we need to get into this again. Let me just check the reason as to why I'm browsing through all the contents is just to ensure that I have not missed out any important terms which needs little explanation and which is very, very new and typical to SA. That's exactly what I'm looking for. See, communication with the customer is your dunning, okay, and your balance confirmation. Business partner, we already know the concept. Clear? Mandatory organizational elements. In the meantime, do I have any questions, students? I have not looked at Q&A. Okay, no questions. So category, you can create a business partner as a group or as an organization or as an individual grouping. All are self-explanatory. The groupings, they are basically done on what role the particular customer is performing. So today, I think probably we'll spend some time on reading this contents and ensuring that we have not left anything new. And let me also tell you, students, we have already, or rather, I have already given you enough inputs for you to start working practically. You will have to see the chart of accounts, you will have to see the journal vouchers, you will have to see the vendors, you'll have to see the customers, and you'll have to see so many other things which I have shown you in the system. And that could be making your hands full of activity, correct? Along with your CMA examination, you have your hands full as far as the practical SAP is concerned. Don't you agree with me, students? My task has become easy now. Clear? Just hold on a moment, students. So coming back, no questions yet. So all these slides we have already covered, and I have converted all this theoretical information into your practical SAP. Yeah. So you have your hands full of activities to be done. Now, if you go through these slides, I think your understanding will be lots better. See, FI-based sales postings. This is exactly what we saw, because we have still not gone into that integration concept. Okay. So we can click on the role to get more information. See, the general data, or you can just read it in your leisure. Try to understand it better. All right. Reconciliation account. Your FI role or your FI portion of the data, as far as your vendor or customer, it is never complete without this reconciliation. Yeah, that you must know. So if you are asked a basic question like, what are the different views of a vendor or a customer master data? You have your three views. One is your general data view, your company code view, typical to FI, and your say purchase organization, your view, and your sales organization, typically your sales and distribution module view. So if you are able to answer such questions, more than enough. And how does each module is getting connected to the each submodule? Through the recon account, through the reconciliation account. So what is a reconciliation account? It is the aggregation of your individual sub ledgers. This is typically the terminology what you're supposed to use, students. If you're asked in an interview, what is the role of a reconciliation account, or what you mean by a reconciliation account, this is the answer expected. And what is the individual subledger? Your individual customer or your vendor. Clear, students? So have we seen this? Create a master record using reference. It is nothing but you creating a general ledger account. I will take you into it. Probably if you have forgot, I will take you into this. So I will use the transaction code if okay. Let's refresh it to a few screens. Ah. So if at all you would want to understand what is that with reference, this is a place what he's talking about. If you map the slide with this, create a master record using reference, this is what he is talking to. So to create a new customer, just like we made use of the existing general ledger account to create a new general ledger account, we are making use of a, let me show it to you. since it's an internal number range, I'm not going to give the number. So I can use so I want to create a new customer by taking the help of this particular already existing customer. Okay, enter. This is exactly what he needs. Okay, see, all the data would have already come. It would have already come in. What was consisted in the 5001646? Can you see? All the data has automatically flowed in. The only thing is, in the general data, I need to fill in the address, the name of the organization, and things like that. Clear? I'm not going to save. Clear, students? Create a master record centrally. What do you mean by centrally? XK01, XD01 is centrally. FD01 is relating to finance only. This is your centrally is your XD01 and only for finance is FD01. All these are central. You're affecting both your finance as well as the sales and distribution module. But if you are doing anything here, you are affecting only the finance module. Okay? Just like you had your chart of accounts level of information for the GL account and the company code level of information for the GL account. Clear, students? Try to connect. Try to connect. You will observe that the learning process is much simpler. Okay. Create a master record for finance only. Create a one-time account. Did we discuss what is a one-time account? Do you remember where we saw this? Does anybody remember? We have definitely discussed this. While creating the relevant groups, the customer or the vendor account groups, we saw whether they were one-time customers or the normal customers. Take up anything. See, one-time account. This is where you set up the one-time relation. Now, I just wanted to show you something important. Now, what is this? We are trying to create the account groups for customers. Now, what is the sold to party, bill to party? You have ship to party. There is also ship to party. Yeah. Now, what is this? Now, suppose I am Geo raises an order for some item and I supply. So my sold to party becomes Geo. Okay. Now, let us say Mumbai. I'm supplying it to Bangalore. So my ship to party becomes Bengaluru, right? My Bombay office has raised the order, bill to party, ship to party. No, sold to party becomes the Bengaluru Geo. Clear? Now, the probably the head office is making the payment on behalf of Geo. So the bill to party becomes your Reliance Group, right? So you're importing some goods. It comes and lands in the Bombay Geo office, and from that becomes the ship to party. And from ship to party, from Mumbai, it is shipped to your sold to party, Bengaluru. So did you understand? It is billed against the Reliance Group. It is shipped to the Bombay or the Mumbai Geo, but the goods are pertaining to the Bengaluru Geo office. So did you understand what is the nature of this particular English? Sold to party, bill to party, ship to party. Clear? Any questions out here? Clear, students? Anything which is a little hazy for you to understand, a little difficult, little complex? I'm trying to simplify a lots and lots of things. Okay. We have already seen this real time. How does it affect? Through your recon account. Manual AR invoices, credits posted directly into the AR customer. See, did you see this recon account? The whole process of the real-time processing is happening through the recon account. Meaning, whenever there is a interaction with the customer, automatically the creditors are also, or the debtors, sorry, I'm talking about customers, the debtors, they get updated in real time without any waiting. The sundry debtors, it gets updated through the concept of your reconciliation account. So please read post outgoing invoices. We have already seen sale invoices. You know the entry also. So I don't have to explain the entry. So you saw that posting keys, correct? Taking up the individual debits. What is the posting key for vendors? 31. What is the posting key for customers? You saw 0. Okay. In this case, it will be the incoming payment F-28. Okay, I need to tell you what is this financial statement. I'll quickly make a note of this. What do I need to tell you? Financial statement. So what is this and how it is being done? Clear? So we have the EBS, electronic bank statements. Should I tell you that also? Okay. So here we are talking about the BRS. Actually, this should have, okay, let me not even mention. So here, I have already opened the SPRO. Not to worry. So I was talking to you about the BRS. So you have the manual BRS and you have the electronic BRS. So these are the settings which we as consultants we do. Sorry, just give me a moment. We have concepts like your posting rules and your business transactions. What are your business transactions? Now you have various items which classify into whether you are adding to the cash balance or your bank balance, checks issued, checks deposited, checks not, something like that. All these are your business transactions. So your bank charges, whatever transactions are happening, whatever is the reconciliation factor, you are going to create those scenarios out here and you are going to establish the BRS. Now, finally, when you want to execute, the BRS, just give me a minute. Okay, I will get back. Okay, so this is exactly where you set up your BRS and you upload that statement. So you have various other things. So many people, they would have done it. Okay, and you have the EBS, electronic bank statement. Only difference is this: you have your bank statement coming in a specific way, agreed upon by your business and your bank, and you create a Excel sheet. All right. Just give me a minute. Hold on, students. I'm trying to recollect. What was the name? Let me try this. Yes, perfect. FF67, not 65, it is 67. So this is your, see, statement number. You are uploading that statement. All right. The first and the foremost, you're going to. So this is your manual. FF67 is your manual. So you're going to manually enter the opening balance and the closing balance, and you enter into the reconciliation process. Now for the manual, I mean for the electronic, FF 15 or 5, I forgot. Let me try with this. Perfect. So can you see this? I import data in the specific format. I remember in our project we had used MT940. Okay, so like this, we have an understanding with the bank by which he sends me the statement. In this particular standard format, I create, see, do not post, but only see statement file. I create this on my desktop and I upload. So when I say execute, the file, whatever I have constructed in my Excel, gets uploaded. And this they get compared. And the reconciliation items, they are thrown out. This is about your PRS. I'm not getting into the configuration of it. It's quite a elaborate configuration, right? Okay. Students, do I see any questions? We just have one moment and I don't want to start talking on anything new. I'll just wait for you for one more minute and later we will break for lunch. How are the topics today, students? You learned something new? Okay. Kunal, shall we break for lunch? Kunal, are you there? Perfect. Good, you're feeling interesting. So for a couple of more sessions, it's going to be theory. All right. So it's worth it. It's really worth it. All right. So students, we will wind up. We'll reassemble by 2 p.m. after our lunch break. Clear, students? Good. You people are responding positively. Good. Okay. See you by 2.